Okay, here we are back at the layout. And let's put these guys through. We'll put through the black first. Okay, he's through okay. We'll put through the red. He's through okay. We'll put in the back like this. And then we'll drop it all into place. Make sure it aligns and fits there, and it does. There. So, just remove that little piece of fluff there. Got a little piece of blue fluff. It's annoying me. It's stuck on the track. Big on blue fluff. Okay, now, the reason that I solder underneath is because if we look in close here, that's one of the solder places, that's the other solder place. If I look down, you can just see underneath there, but with a little bit of ballast, you'll never see anything. Same there. You don't have this big hunk of whatever hanging off the side. If I go over to here, even when you do a good job, you can see that there's a hunk of whatever hanging in there. Whereas with underneath, you don't see it at all. And that's why I do that. There, how's that? Okay, things seem to be on the tripod. So, that one's good. Now, all we have to do is glue that in place. Now, there's a special trick when we start gluing this, because all of this, I'll put my normal Woodlands Scenics foam tack glue in, but for this little piece right here, that gets super glued down. I have to wear a respirator, so I'm going to do all three of these together so that I wear the respirator and put them all in. Anyway, that's that piece. And this, just make sure these tracks are completely aligned. So there's a straight piece that's through here, and then if it curves off from there, I'm fine with that. Which it does a little bit. So red is closest to me. I'm just going to put it in the same general location, like halfways, which is right about here. And I just have to find out, remember, the gap in the track. Okay, so I want one there. That's where red's going to be. And the black feeder drop I put to the next one, which is right here. Okay, so I got my red and black marked. Then I come in with my kind of my awl. Mark one hole there. And one hole there. Double check, that hole's there. Yep, those look good. So now I can take this out, pull this out, go ahead with the drill. Through the cork, through the foam, through the plywood. Through the cork, foam, plywood. And clean it up. Make sure I can get through. That's okay, I can turn it, everything's fine there. Same thing there. Okay, now let's go back and solder this puppy. Solder feeders to it. Okay. Step one, cut out the area for tinning on the bottom. Okay, double check, make sure that's okay. Do a little spread if you need to. Get some flux in there. Get some flux in there. Don't need much. Soldering iron on. Intriguing. Here, we'll hold it in place like that so it doesn't move. And then we'll come in with the soldering iron. Tin this piece to start with. And not moving it too much. Tin that piece. That's good. Now we take a red and black wire. Strip a little bit off the end. Take my pliers. Do the flatten a 90-degree bend and try and straighten it out. Flatten 90-degree bend, straighten out. Bring in the solder. Black wire, tin it, a little bit of flux. Some solder. Red wire, dip it in the flux, a little bit of solder, clean off the soldering iron. Sure, I know this should be red. Yeah, it's red. So, put that back on there to hold it. Grab the red lead. Put it where I want it. Okay, trying to rest my hand without disturbing everything. And then, once it's there, just touch the soldering iron. Till the solder flows. Do the same thing on the black side. Put it where I want it. Solder flows. Clean soldering iron. Turn it off. Test, make sure everything's good. Take it away. Grab isopropyl alcohol. Clean, 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 clean. Clean along the top. Which also just happens to remove the markings that were on there for black and red. push the rails back together again if you decide you want to do that. And now if we look at it, you should be able to see that there's no blobs there, no blobs there, no blobs there, no blobs on the inside anywhere. And they're really good and secure on the bottom. And once that's done, we need to go over and do a final test fit. Put it all in. Whoops, unzoom so you can see. Get the track section over here again. Okay, black wire goes in. Red wire goes in. The whole thing goes into the rail joiners. Make sure it all lines up here okay. Perfect alignment. Yeah, so that's great. 2 down. Now we'll bring this in and we'll line it up. It's got to line up this way because of how curved this guy is. I really only care right the end here, so we'll make sure that it's lined up there. The rest of this just bends the way it does. And we looked at red closest to us. And I'm just looking at how things are. I can't go past that, so I gotta be about here. Okay, that'll work. Now there's a gap right there. So let's do the red one there. And then we'll do the black one right there. And then we'll get our owl. And it will go in there. There. Covers that one. Yep, that's where we want them. Okay, remove that. Remove the track. Get the drill out again. There we go. Now, can we get through okay? Yep, that one's good. I have a little something. Nope, that one's good. Now we got that, clean it up. And then off we go. Do the last one here. How's my beverage doing? Okay. Step 1. Remove all the little nubs left. just remove a bit of yuck that got cut and flux there. Double check last time to make sure there's a black one there and a red one there. Okay, turn that on. Do what we did last time. Hold it in place. Now I've got a desktop soldering iron. It heats up pretty quick, so should be good. Yep. A little bit there. A little bit there. Grab a couple of feeders. Strip the ends. Grab my pliers and flatten a little piece. Make sure it's straight. Flatten and straighten. Soldering iron. Solder. Dip it in the flux. Come in with the solder. Dip it in the flux. Got enough solder left over. Now I'll get a little more in there. Okay, those are both tinned. Clean the point. Double check to make sure that's red. Yes, it is. Well, if you want to skip the double check, go ahead at your own peril, but once you get over there and it's backwards, it's really confusing. There we go. There's a red one. Black one. Clean that guy off. That goes there. That goes there. Tug test works good. Get my alcohol. Scrubby, scrubby. Cloth, clean that off. Now be aware, when you do this and you bend the wires, these wires like this, you put them under tension, so don't be bending them back and forth a bunch or they will break off. And if you want to try it sometime, grab a wire. And I'll just strip some off of this just to show you. Go like this. I'm going to flatten this to show you to do the same thing. May not be able to see, but it's flattened. And then you do this a few times. And this is at the flat part. Now you can see I can do it a few times. There's no problem. But if I keep doing it to the same spot, eventually it will fail. And there it is, it's failed. So that's not what you want to have happen to you. But you saw how much effort it took to fail. It's not like, oh, 2 bends and it's done. No, it's a few dozen. Point being, don't continually keep stressing it. Okay, now we'll take this back to the layout. And we'll grab the video camera. And we'll go back to the layout here. And we'll zoom out, not in. There, now you can see everything. Okay, here's the guy I just did. Black goes in first. Yeah, sometimes you have to poke around a bit, but keep the bottom part at least straight. There, poked around a little bit. Now, you notice that this one joiner's in farther than I want it, so we'll push the joiner out a little. And we'll push the track in. Then we'll push it down. We'll grab our little piece here. Make sure it's okay. Yep, and all looks good there. Everything can pull back a bit. Now what I do with the pliers is I'm pulling both tracks all the way back so they fit snug, which makes sure the gap here is okay because of the way I've filed it. And where this joiner is, I'd like it a little more forward. That's too far. Pull you back a bit. There, that's where I want you. Okay, so now all three of these tracks are where I want them. I need to secure them in. To secure them in, I'm going to do a couple of things. I'll lift them up, apply glue underneath to here, and then super glue underneath that piece. I'll put it in place, use this to position it, and then use, I guess, this guy and the other one to weight down so that they stay perfect in there. I have a couple of these. This is the short one. I have a long one, and I'm going to use the long one on here because I can just use this end of it. I'm going to use the short one on here, and then for there I have, let's see if this guy will fit. Well, I have one that's a nice curve, but that's not a curve there, so I may just use it to hold just the very end piece in there. I'll check some more.